Welcome back to Focal Point AAFR Talk. Rob, let's grab clips number 15 and 16, the two Marco Rubio clips, if we can have those ready to go. And we will kind of close the loop on our conversation about immigration today. You know, Jeff Sessions has calculated that if the Marco Rubio permanent Democratic majority amnesty plan goes through, the number of immigrants that will come to the United States over the next decade is actually 56 million. 56 million. Now, these are people that are going to be looking for jobs. We've already got 23 million people in America that are out of work. The percentage of the American workforce who want to work more hours but can't because the hours simply are not available is up now almost to 18%. So 18%, so I think it's 17.9%, of the American people that right now have jobs would like to work more, but the jobs and the hours just are not there. Now, a lot of that is due to Obamacare. You know, a lot of these places, we've talked about it before, but it's happening one business and corporation and chain after another cutting hours to 29 and a half max so they don't run into the penalties of Obamacare and the obligation to provide health care with all the fines and attendant expenses that come along with that. So realize that, the Center for Immigration Studies is estimating 57.5 million working age Americans are either unemployed or out of the labor market. So right now you've got 57.5 million working age Americans that are either unemployed or they're out of the labor market altogether. Either they never went in or a lot of them have just dropped out. They've gotten so discouraged looking for work that they've just finally given up. So the reality is, and what the Center for Immigration Studies points out is that you have 57 million working age Native Americans that are not working. This is 17 million higher than in the second quarter of 2000. So in 13 years ago, the number of Americans who were of working age and were unemployed or out of the workforce was 40 million. Our population has grown in that time. I don't know from what to what, but it's up now to 315 million or so. The population has grown significantly over the last 13 years, and we have 17 million fewer people that are working. 17 million more people that aren't working, that are unemployed or not even in the labor force at all. And so now we're looking at double that number. You know, we can't provide jobs for 57.5 million Americans, Native Americans, right now. How in the world are we going to provide employment for another 57 million? You talk about the unemployment rate going through the ceiling. And Gallup today, by the way, Gallup is out there saying, look, the real unemployment rate is actually 8.9%. Let me see if I can grab that story. So the unemployment rate is getting worse virtually by the minute. Here's the story. Now you've got the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They compute the unemployment rate. So does Gallup. Gallup also tracks the nation's unemployment rate, and their numbers don't always align perfectly, but the trends pretty much parallel each other. So we haven't got the BLS numbers, but here's Gallup, Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's a government agency. Now Gallup is out there showing that in the last 30 days, the unemployment rate has gone up from 7.7% on July 21 to 8.9% today. So the unemployment rate is virtually up to 9% from 7.7% just in 30 days. It's taken a huge jump, a huge leap, almost up to 9%. This is the highest it has been in 18 months. Gallup also showing, according to John Nolte at Breitbart, an alarming increase in the number of underemployed. That's those who have work but would like more. That same 30-day period, the number has gone from 17.1% to 17.9%. That is the figure that I gave you earlier. So this amnesty plan that's being pushed with George Soros money now, with George Soros, so these are evangelicals out there pushing this amnesty plan using $400,000 of George Soros, an out-and-out unvarnished, unapologetic socialist using $400,000 of his money and his other socialist buddies to promote amnesty that's going to lead to 57 million more people looking for the same jobs when Americans already are out of work at staggering numbers. So, you talk about compassion. I say, well, okay, where is the compassion for the people in your churches, in your evangelical churches, that are going to lose jobs because you're seeing to it that people who do not even have the legal right to be in this country get those jobs. I don't understand this. I mean, this is clearly a case where you've got evangelicals that are not thinking biblically. They are not thinking rationally. They're not thinking clearly. They are actually not thinking with compassion whatsoever. My conviction is that if something is right for one person, it's right for everybody. I mean, they may not like it. It might be kind of painful for them, but it's right for everybody. There's no path, there's no policy, there's no solution that is only right or just or fair for some people. If it's right, it's going to be in everybody's best interest. And so I think you look at the fact that what these evangelicals are promoting is something that is going to harm evangelicals. It's going to harm people in their own churches. It's going to harm people that have the legal right to be in this country. That makes it clear to me that it's not a good idea. And it's getting bad out there. I mentioned this yesterday, but here's a story from the Washington Post about organizing for action. This is President Obama's political arm out there. They're sending people out there to support Paul Ryan because Paul Ryan is now the Marco Rubio of the House of Representatives. So he is out there actively hacking and flacking for amnesty. Here's another story here from Barna. The idea has been, John McCain admitted, look, this is not going to get us a single vote. If we pander to Hispanics, it's not going to get us one single vote. So he basically admits politically it's a loser for the Republican Party. Now, I'm not motivated by that. I could care less what is in the best interest of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I'm concerned about what's in the best interest of the United States of America. I could care less whose political ox is gored. That's why I'm just as hard on Republicans when they're out of alignment with the truth as I am on the Democrats. So John McCain is out there admitting this is not going to get the Republicans one single vote. So we're going to have to go out there and we're going to have to convince them. We're going to have to sell them on our message. All of these newly legalized illegal immigrants that we're going to make legal, we're going to give them voting rights, going to make them citizens. We're going to have to sell them on our message. But research from Barna indicates that the longer, this is a quote from the piece by Barna, from Barna, quoting from their study, the longer the Hispanic community experiences U.S. cultural norms, the less socially conservative its members become. So Barna says, look, it works the other way. The longer they're here, the more liberal they become. They don't become more conservative when they are exposed to American values. They become more socially liberal. In other words, the longer they are here, the worse the problem gets. And so, you look at these Republicans that are pushing for this. I mean, it's a suicide pact. Now, if it was the right thing to do, if we did not have clear biblical principles about national sovereignty and borders that are a part of God's sovereign oversight of the kingdoms, if we didn't, the kingdoms of the world, if we didn't have clear biblical instruction that these national boundaries and their borders are to be protected, that there is such a thing as sovereign territory, Moses showed us the way. He respected the sovereign territory of a neighboring kingdom. He didn't get permission to go in there, so he didn't go. He didn't trespass. He didn't break the law. He didn't say, hey, these people have no compassion. I'm going to go in and take what they've got anyway. Didn't do it. He respected their borders, respected their sovereign territory, and went by another way. And now we've got illegal aliens that are actually holding protests and rallies now in front of hospitals in Chicago demanding free organ transplants. Realize these are people who have no legal right to be in the United States. They don't even have the legal right to get health care in the United States, and now they want to take organs from American citizens that do have the right to be here and are paying for their health care. They want to take organs from them so that they can be transplanted into illegal aliens. This is a piece from Judicial Watch. Illegal aliens now want American taxpayers to finance their organ transplants. Illegal immigrants have gone on a hunger strike outside an Illinois hospital demanding free organ transplants for themselves and their fellow undocumented comrades. So that is, the reality is, there isn't anything that you could give illegal alien activists that would be enough. I mean, that they've gotten driver's licenses, they've gotten voting privileges, they've gotten welfare. Now they want free organ transplants. How could you ever give people that are making these kind of demands, how could you ever satisfy them? How could you ever give them enough? And here's another poll that indicates a large majority of likely voters nationwide do not support an influx of new foreign workers. Nearly 60% of likely voters oppose the Senate bill's proposal to increase the number of green cards to 20 million over the next decade. And 3/4 of those surveyed said there are more than enough unemployed Americans with lower levels of education to fill the jobs that would go to illegal aliens under the Senate bill. Only 17% said foreign workers are needed to fill labor shortages. So 75% of the American people said, look, we got plenty of workers in the United States. We don't need to import illegal aliens to compete with unemployed workers that we have right now in America. Number to call if you want to join the conversation about the Evangelical Immigration Table spending George Soros money to promote amnesty, impact of illegal immigration on America. What do you think an evangelical position on that is? What's the position of compassion and justice? Love to know what you think about some of my remarks on that. You're welcome to the conversation. 888-589-8840 is the number to call. 888-589-8840. We'll be right back.
I find